Cubans for Trump. How you doing?
Truly, how are you doing? Because y'all are about to find out big time. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by, supporting your girl on this channel. So you know how we do. All credit goes to the creators in these videos. And guys, on today's FAFO Chronicles,
Venezuelans for Trump. How you doing? Latino for Trump. How you doing? Poor people who can't read for Trump. How you doing? Trailer park trash for Trump. How you doing? White people who voted for Trump and thought he was going to treat them right. How you doing? People who didn't think Affordable Care Act was for them. How you doing? People who lost their jobs and voted for Trump. How you doing? Section 8 people that might lose their housing that voted for Trump. How you doing? White people who thought they were not going to be paying for tariffs and they voted for Trump. How you doing? How you doing? I really don't give a fuck. Thus, for all the people that voted for Trump. Carry on.
You screwed the pooch on that one. It's funny, but not funny. And P.S., this is not meant for those Venezuelans that absolutely voted blue. You guys have a great day.
And when it comes to savagery from inside the community, she wasn't alone.
So I heard in the news yesterday that a lot of Cuban Americans who are Trump supporters are soon going to be able to order their Cuban sandwiches in Cuba. I'm jelly.
That was too far. That was too far. You leave the Cubanos out of this. And the Cuban coffee. Let's dig in, shall we?
The administration announced Friday they're revoking legal status of 500,000 migrants who came here legally from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela during President Biden's terms. This is another fight they wanted to have. But if the stated intention is to go after the worst of the worst and deport them, why focus on people who bothered to be here legally?
Well, the administration would argue that the Biden administration abused its immigration executive authority to create this program without Congress, and that the people who came here under this policy are undercutting American workers, and that they are essentially illegal immigrants as well. And now they are turning them into illegal immigrants by stripping them of their legal status, their work permits, or deportation protections. Right now, they have, for the next 30 days, a chance to self-deport through a smartphone app. If they don't do that, DHS is warning that they will be found, arrested, and deported from the country. And this crackdown on immigration by the administration is also extending to other parts of the immigration system. We also know that the administration is suspending funding, federal funding, for legal services providers and lawyers who help migrant children who have left federal custody or who are still in federal custody and who are facing deportation.
And this is all intentional, that taking funding away even from migrant kids?
This administration does not believe that federal funds should be used for people who are in the country illegally or without legal permission.
Now let me break that down for you. Once they went with, we believe that the Biden administration has abused the system and we want to rectify things, then they went and granted themselves the ability to determine who is and who isn't here legally. And y'all knew that, and you still empowered this man. Let's also talk about the fact that other aspects of the immigration system are going to be affected by this as well. Because you remember how you guys were once a protected class? Is that what they called it? Florida's Cubans, once a protected class, face new immigration threats. Cubans have been granted special status since the Cold War. That suddenly changed, leading to a sense of betrayal among a staunchly Republican group. Yeah, about that special status protected class you used to have.
It's ordered the deportation of 500,000 Cuban, Venezuelan, and Haitian immigrants that came here the right way. And my question for my fellow Cubans is, are y'all still feeling special? My entire childhood was spent being fed the narrative that our family came here the right way, and that everybody else that's complaining about being deported, well, they just need to go back to where they came from, start the process over legally. I don't want to ever hear another Cuban American say some shit like that ever again. I'm going to laugh in your face. Maybe you all will finally realize that no matter how much you try to blend into white Western European culture, no matter how much you try to pretend that you don't eat ham croquettes for breakfast and that you've never had ayako for dinner in your entire life.
Yo, what's good? So I don't even know where to start today, because yes, I am definitely on one. It's been a rough 2 weeks over here for me, but just the ridiculousness of popping on here today and seeing that 215 to 214, to see that only 2 GOP folk were able to find a moral compass. Y'all are not ready. I don't know what it is about this regime and the tiny tangerine tyrant that has y'all so shooketh, but let me tell you this. Let me tell you this with my whole last chest, with the guttural throat that I have right now. Let me tell you, y'all are not ready for the wrath of your constituents. Y'all sat up there and straight lied to these people. You lied to them. Do you have any idea what that does to people that are already like not okay? Because I'm gonna tell you one thing for real. I was talking to my homeboy about this earlier. Us chocolate folk, us dark skinned folk, we still gonna sit around and just be watching. But when these other folk decide to turn their caucasity onto you, y'all ain't ready. And for the ones of y'all that did vote for this because you wanted to be openly racist and now it's about to fall down on you, well, I can't say much to you. Like, I will continue to say it in every video. I will remind y'all, you will reap what you sow. Stop sowing, you won't have to reap as much. Drop in the comments, because damn, I'll be back on here a few different times throughout the day and tomorrow because I got time. She got time today, because y'all have no idea, and then you wonder why people be getting Luigi'd. You be pushing the wrong buttons, y'all, and no one is safe. I don't know why y'all think you are safe. You just opened up a whole entire Pandora's box. Good luck closing it.
And a raging leftist. Generally, those two things do not go hand in hand, and let me tell you why I'm pointing that out right now. Right end of the spectrum here is in complete denial about how the empty ports and the tariff war, how serious it is and how much it's actually going to affect us. They're in complete denial, telling me that I'm fear-mongering. The right is already blaming higher prices on Bill Clinton. I don't know. Global trade is not a bad thing. A lot of MAGA are saying we don't need Chinese junk anyways, even though a lot of what we import from China is essential for our existence. Rare earth, medical supplies, I mean, there's a ton of things. We don't need to go there. They can figure that out the hard way. I don't have huge, massive stockpiles of pretty much anything in my house. I have learned a ton of new skills in the past few years, and that's the majority of my prepping. Learn how to sew, learn how to patch, learn how to thrift, consignment shops, trading with people. We might have a problem with canned foods. The materials that the cans are made out of are from China. Even food that we produce here in the US, we ship overseas to process and can it and then ship it back. Stock up on canned food if you can, but it would be incredibly useful for you to learn how to can your own food. I taught myself how to pressure can. You can teach yourself how to pressure can too. Don't let MAGA gaslight you into thinking that this isn't a big deal. Prepare as best you can and remember that you're not alone, and history shows that during times of despair, people come together. For those of you saying, I don't have any money, I have no disposable income, I can't prep. I understand where you're coming from, but you can prep because you can go to the library, you can grab some books, you can learn how to grow some things on your countertop, you can learn how to can, you can learn how to dehydrate. There's a bunch of skills that you can learn, and learning new skills is prepping. Don't panic, be smart. Don't let the right gaslight you into thinking this is Bill Clinton's fault. We do the best that we can do with all of the information that we have available at the time. And all of the information that we have available now is pointing to trouble because of the tariff war. Do what you can, find your people.
Seeing all of these videos about people who order from Shein and then they get billed a tariff bill after, this is kind of making me think, because I'm definitely not ordering online anymore. I mean, I've honestly not been really ordering online like that because I just didn't know how things were going to go. But now I'm definitely not ordering online, which makes me think regular shopping malls have been like on the decline. I remember my high school project was like what to do with the mall that was just an eyesore in the middle of our town because nobody was going. They had barely any stores. So it was like this constant project we did. So I remember doing so much research on like malls and just like where malls are going. And with online shopping, people weren't going to malls anymore, and you don't have to. You get more options online shopping. Sometimes there's cheaper, sometimes there are good deals and stuff. So now that these tariffs, people are getting billed like twice the price of the actual item that they're buying. I have a prediction. I feel like regular brick and mortar stores are going to come back and people are going to start going to the stores instead. Yeah, the prices might be affected. Yeah, but like if the product's already there, the company is footing the bill of whatever the tariff is or whatever it's requiring them to ship it in. And now whatever price you're seeing on that price tag is likely the price that you're going to be paying at the register. I think that peace of mind alone is going to make people want to shop in store more and less online. So let me know what you think about that. But I really do think that brick and mortar stores are coming back and online shopping is about
15 to 20% tariff rate is starting to bite. The most recent Treasury Daily Statement data suggests that the U.S. is facing an immediate 2% of GDP tax hike from the tariffs. While there's been a lot of focus on the big beautiful bill being stimulative, the reality is the tariff impact is today, and those impacts, whether they are or not stimulative, will come quarters from now in the second half of 2026. While the economy can absorb a 2% tax hike for a short period of time, eventually this is going to flow through to higher prices and lower real spending. With significant flexibility to maintain at least 15% tariff rate across the U.S. goods, it looks like we're set for a higher tariff environment for longer than many expect. While the markets are all in on taco and run it hot, the reality looks a lot more challenging than it's priced into.
We need failure to save us from our own success. I don't know if there's any sort of actual famous saying that goes like this, but there should be, because this is very true, and it's especially true in the world of politics. And we are getting a real-time lesson on this with Trump and his tariffs. So an appellate court is expected to rule as early as Thursday on whether or not Donald Trump's tariffs or the justification for his tariffs meet constitutional muster. It's widely expected that the appellate court will uphold the original court's ruling that they are not constitutional, in which case the Trump administration will elevate it to the Supreme Court, and I have a feeling they will also rule that these are not constitutional. Trump is basically trying to use emergency powers to circumvent Congress here, and this is the same thing Biden tried to do when he tried to cancel student loan debt by declaring an emergency, and the Supreme Court didn't seem to like it then, and I doubt they've changed their minds on it now. So there's a very real possibility that Trump's tariffs are done. They'll just be struck down and won't be valid anymore. This will obviously be a setback for the Trump administration and a temporary embarrassment for them, and it will be a good morale boost for the left that has been looking for a high-profile win against Trump. But it's very likely to end up helping Trump in the long run more than it hurts him. You see, the reality that some of us might be missing if you're just paying attention to the noise and not actually tracking the actual stories is that things aren't quite as bad for the Trump administration as some people are making them out to be. That's especially true in the economy. Like, while the tariffs are the dominant story of the economy, and while they are wreaking havoc on certain portions of the economy, the unrelated economic numbers are actually looking pretty solid. Like, we've had a couple really strong job reports come out. Inflation's actually trending down. Wages are trending up. Consumer confidence just took a huge jump recently. And there's actually a poll that came out showing that there's more Americans that think the economy's headed in the right direction than headed in the wrong direction. And that's the first time in a long time that's been the case. But again, then you have these tariffs, which Americans are pretty overwhelmingly opposed to and see as a overwhelmingly negative thing. And yet they're the thing the Trump administration is pushing the hardest through all of this. So if these tariffs, even by force, are taken from the Trump administration, then the focus, the economic focus, is going to shift onto other sectors of the economy, and a lot of these other areas don't look quite as bad. It's going to give the impression that things are actually doing really well. Which leads to the question, why has the Trump administration been so insistent on these tariffs in the first place? Now, I know Team Trump has said, oh, this is short-term pain for long-term gain. We're resetting the world economy and all of that. Maybe that's true. And maybe if you're MAGA, you really believe that this is a good reset of the American economy. However, the reality is, the American public has not been sold on the long-term gain. They don't really know what the clear long-term picture is with the tariffs. So all they're seeing is the short-term pain, which means if you remove that short-term pain, then they really won't miss the potential long-term gain that's been lost because they never saw it in the first place. And this could end up actually helping the Trump administration if the other economic numbers continue to improve, which they're likely to do if the tariffs are removed, if the tariff threat is removed. The tariffs are single-handedly responsible for the bond market being in trouble, the mortgage market being a mess right now. There's so much uncertainty in the business world. I know people in commercial real estate that are saying that the movement in commercial real estate has completely dried up because things are so volatile. Nobody knows what's happening one minute to the next. You remove the tariffs, instant stability is returned to the economy, and that is going to be nothing but a good thing for the overall economic health of the United States. So by Democrats actually winning in this legal battle against Trump, they could actually be helping Trump more in the long run. Now, you could say, oh, well, the American public is still going to resent Trump for trying to do the tariffs, and they'll hold that against him. But again, I'd be not too sure about whether or not that works out in Democrats' favor. Because although the American public doesn't like the tariffs, they still seem to be giving Trump and Republicans a lot of grace for what they're trying to do with the economy. For example, there was a CBS News poll that came out a while back, and they asked the American public what they thought of the tariffs. And of course, the American public was overwhelmingly negative on the tariffs, did not like them. But that same poll asked the American public, even if you don't like the tariffs, do you at least think the Trump administration is trying to accomplish good things with the tariffs? And an overwhelming majority of the American public said, yes, we at least think Trump is trying to do something good with them. Meaning they were giving Trump credit for trying to do something good with the tariffs, even if they didn't think the tariffs were a good solution. So again, if the tariffs are removed and the Trump administration is forced to focus on other areas to improve the economy, that might end up being a net benefit for the Trump administration. Because the Trump administration has been basically almost self-destructively clinging to this anchor of tariffs that's been pulling them down. And the Democratic Party is basically using legal action to pry this anchor out of their hands. And again, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if this complete failure by the Trump administration on these tariffs ends up being a net benefit for them, due specifically to the other circumstances that are surrounding the situation. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot that could go wrong for the Trump administration. And this big, beautiful bill, all the drama with that, it's still even money as to whether that tanks them or helps them. But the reality is, in this certain area, tariffs going away, even by force, even as embarrassing as that will be for the Trump administration, it probably ends up helping them more in the long run. And it's wild that that's true, but that's just the way politics is.